Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for telling my sister I will not give her money for an accident she claimed I caused? My 26F sister, 28F, and I stopped at a local coffee shop about a month and a half ago. She ordered 3 large hot coffees, and upon handing me the coffees that were in a cup holder, I mentioned to her that she needed to ask for another cup holder because the one that was handed to us had a tear in it. Obviously, she didn't hear me because she was on the phone. So I got her attention again and told her we needed another holder, which was of no use since she'd already pulled off. Their lobby is closed to the public. She brushed it off and just told me to put them on the floor. But before I could, she pulled off like a bat out of hell the cup holder tool, which caused the hot coffees to spill on me. I screamed from the pain. I guess I scared her. Instead of hitting the brake, she hit the gas, which veered us out into the middle of traffic, where another car collided with us from her side, which spent the car and sent us head on to a pole. The impact was enough to total the side and front of her car and make the airbags deploy. But we didn't suffer any injuries. Well, she didn't. I suffered 2nd-degree burns on my thighs, lower half of my stomach, and part of my arm. She had let her insurance lapse. Well, now she's stating I need to help her get another vehicle since it was my fault she'd wrecked in the first place. I told her that if that was the case, then she needed to pay for my hospital bills since she's the reason for the entire situation in the first place. We had a big argument about it. She got our parents involved. Now fear stating I need to either hawk up a down payment for her a car or at least go half on another vehicle for her, my mother, more than anything. I refused. I said that we were square since she didn't contribute a penny to my hospital bills. Now I'm being told that I'm selfish, irresponsible, and show no remorse for my sister's car being totaled. That since I make more than her and have no kids, that I shouldn't have a problem doing it. She shouldn't have been operating a vehicle with expired insurance, NTA, before leaving. She ought to have checked that the coffee was evenly distributed on the ground. Your parents can give your sister the money they were going to spend on you for your birthday and Christmas as a down payment. Comment by team member Cody. Now for the top comments. Absolutely not the a-hole. She's a reckless, irresponsible driver. 1. She was using her phone whilst driving. 2. It sounds like she was speeding out of the, I'm assuming, drive-through coffee place into traffic whilst distracted driving. 3. She's driving without insurance. All of these could have easily been avoided if she acted like the responsible owner of a machine that can kill people. She's lucky she hasn't been banned or disqualified for reckless driving leading to harm and damage. And that's not even taking into consideration that she was distracted and has no insurance. You are the victim here, Opus. You alerted her that there was a dangerous problem in her vehicle. She ignored / didn't hear you. This was an accident waiting to happen. You are both lucky you weren't killed, and I'm sorry to say your parents are major R's. Irrespective of the fact that you make more money and have no kids, you were severely injured. You would have had to take time off work to recover. Did your sister pay your wages? And you're left with burn scars that do not go away. Your parents should recognize that your sister should have known better. NTA. Your sister is an asshole for driving erratically and not having insurance. Your parents are assholes for siding with her. NTA. You are allowed to scream in pain while you're being literally burned. You did nothing wrong. She didn't listen to you, burned you, let her insurance lapse, and then blamed you for an accident she caused. It makes zero sense to me why your parents would side with her unless she gave them a different story. Am I the antagonist for suggesting my recently engaged friend should tone down the theatrics? My friend has recently got engaged to his boyfriend. I'm honestly and truly happy for him. They seem to have a lovely relationship. However, he's being very over the top about it, which is what I commented on. My friend has had a hard life with a lot of trauma, so he has some issues with his mental health. He has been diagnosed with BPD amongst other things. His mental health is fairly stable now, but he still has quite extreme reactions to both negative and positive emotions. He's always been quite love-a-dove about this BF, which I do understand, because most of his previous relationships have been abusive. This seems to have increased since they got engaged. He's very affectionate with his BF. Whenever he looks at him, he gazes at him adoringly, and if his BF holds his hand or puts his arm around him, he starts beaming, like he's won the lottery. If his BF arrives later than him for an event, he reacts as if he's just come back from war, rather than being slightly late to the pub. It's not inappropriate as such. It's just a bit extreme, and it makes me worried for him, and a little uncomfortable. Another issue is that my friend has been around, and there are quite a few people in our friendship group that he slept with at some point, both men and women. Not everyone is comfortable seeing how loved up he is. I think the way he's acting is genuine and sincere, but I could see why someone might assume he was purposefully rubbing it in people's faces. We had a BBQ yesterday, and he was acting in his typical way when his BF was off talking to someone else. I quietly suggested he tone down the theatrics a bit. He didn't argue, but I could see I hurt his feelings, and he was quiet for the rest of the night. He can be quite sensitive. I noticed his BF getting concerned and asking what was wrong, and I did feel quite bad. Presumably he later told his BF what I said, because BF contacted me today and, fairly politely, told me off. He said he likes my friend as he is, and has been trying to encourage him to be more open about how he's feeling, not less. Obviously I didn't realize that, and I think most people would be uncomfortable with how intense my friend can be. I was concerned that it could end up pushing his BF away. Apparently that isn't the case, but my intentions were good. I've since apologized to my friend and he says it's okay. I haven't discussed this with anyone else, but when I've mentioned my concerns to other friends, they've had mixed responses. Some think I should just be happy for him. I am. Others agree that the way he's acting is a bit too dramatic. Am I the antagonist for what I said? You all simply come out as incredibly envious. Don't be a downer. It's not like they are engaged in sexual activity in public. He is in a contented, long-lasting union. Celebrate with your pal. Let him enjoy himself. I also wish for him to meet better buddies. Comment by team member Charlie. Now for the top comments. AITA for wanting your friend to be less happy about his relationship progressing. Sounds like he's happy he's finally being in a safe and wholesome relationship, and the only thing making people uncomfortable is their own jealousy or prejudice towards him. Also, the entire first paragraph sounds like you trying to put his dirty laundry of a past and mental health struggles on display to justify your resentment towards his displays of affection. Their partner was right in telling you off, and I'm glad they stuck up for your friend. I don't want him to be less happy. I'm very glad he's happy. The way he expresses it is just very intense, and it stands out because it's not how people tend to behave. If anything, I mentioned his mental health because it explains why he's like this, and I don't want to be insensitive to that. He's super happy with his fiancée. How dare he? AITA. I know, right? Person in love is in love. Shocker, you're the a-hole. Am I the antagonist for telling my daughter the real reason I don't allow her to refer to me as mum? Whilst I'm unfamiliar with this app, my partner is far more active, so I've come to know this category. In recent events, perhaps 2 weeks ago, whilst touring across the country, I was stuck driving for 8 hours, and I was exhausted. However, my daughter, 15, popped the question as to why I don't allow her and her brother to address me as mum like most would. Usually in this situation, not the first time she asked, I used the excuse of how it would be easier for her to find me if she ever got lost in a crowd, and I would be able to find her easier. But this time she continued to push for the real answer as she is now grown. This was the same reason as why I spilled to her the real reason. For context, I have never wanted children. Being in my early 40s when I had her and her younger brother was a choice of my partner, as I gave in and complied to the idea. I never held a deep affection for them at first, but as they grow I realize how much I truly love them. Continuing on, I told my daughter that I never wished to be a mother and did much rather not be tied down to the lifestyle of it. I didn't think much of this as I was tired and just wanted to arrive to our destination. I can't exactly recall the reaction she had. She only replied along the lines of, "So that's the real reason." I didn't believe that I might have been in the wrong for telling her when she was the one to push for the reason. However, later broke down after her dad joked about how he would be fine to allow her to call him dad. He was drinking that night. I admit, I did discuss I wanted him and I to be referred by our names rather than the titles of mum, etc. Before the birth of my daughter he was reluctant but allowed it, and my daughter came out saying how I have burdened her with my words and how she second guesses her position as my daughter. She began to spiral and overreact, asking why I would tell her that, if I love her, etc. Then began to say how she wants the intimacy of calling me mum and how she does not feel close to me. We have never had a problem of how she calls me by my name, and I thought she would only ask simply due the curiosity of a growing person. She has yet to calm down and is still fairly tempered with me. It's been a few days and there remains a lot of tension whilst her father does not remember the events that took place being drunk, so I come here for judgment. I love my children and I make an effort to make sure it's clear to them. Am I the antagonist? The message from a mother to her daughter. I never wanted you, only had you to keep my partner, and I may love you now but not enough to let you call me mum, has caused her to lose control and erupt in fits of wrath. Comment by team member Jordan. Now for the top comments. AITA, what a cruel thing to tell the child you chose to have that you never wanted her and never wanted to be a mother. Gee, I wonder why she took it personally. Seriously, it's not like the kids were accidents. She purposely had them and then chooses to be irked by their existence because she didn't want them but planned their pregnancies still. It's an alternative title. I told my child I never wanted them. Now they're sad. What did you think would happen? I didn't want kids, but my husband kind of forced me into it. So now my children don't get to call me mom. AITA? Yes, you are. If you don't want kids, then don't have kids. AITA, I never wanted you. Only had you to keep my partner, and I may love you now but not enough to let you call me mum. How would you possibly not be the asshole for telling a teenager that? Am I the antagonist for not letting an old friend borrow my wedding dress? Quick background. This friend and I, 25F, used to be friends in elementary school, and she was known to be very untrustworthy, would forget to give you back things she borrowed until you gave up. Would say one thing and then backtrack and say she never did. Start false rumors. That sort of stuff. We fell out of touch in HS, and I got married back in 2017 to my late husband. She recently messaged me on FB complimenting my wedding photos. I told her thank you, and we chatted and caught up. She told me she was getting married soon. I said congrats and asked about details and if she had picked a dress to be polite. She said that's actually what I wanted to talk to you about. We are on a super strict budget RN, and I was wondering if you would be kind enough to lend me your dress to wear. I told her I appreciate the compliments, but that I didn't feel comfortable lending her my dress. That it was very sentimental and I just didn't really want anyone else to wear it. She freaked out and basically blamed me for ruining her wedding. That'll be the reason she won't have anything to wear or will go broke finding something that he'll never wear it again. So I should let another poor bride feel pretty, and that she thought I was nicer and less selfish, and that I was dating someone new. So why does it matter if I have my late husband's and my old wedding clothes? This is where I may be tar. I got mad and told her that she wasn't entitled to my dress just because she's poor, that her financial problems aren't my problem, that me having my old wedding outfits are my choice, and that I frankly just didn't trust that she would give it back to me. She got upset, said she changed, that she doesn't do that kind of stuff anymore, but I blocked her. Her fiancé then messaged me saying she was very upset and that she was depressed about me saying she was untrustworthy, but I blocked him too. Am I the antagonist? Edit. I actually got my dress second hand for less than $50 because one of the inner linings of the skirt was torn. I know there are cheap options out there, you just have to go look. I can appreciate having a budget for her wedding, but they neglected to account for a bridal gown. I've seen gorgeous wedding outfits for less than $1,000. What the heck? I believe we all watched Say Yes to the Dresser's Children and believed you needed $5,000 for your dress. Comment by team member Cody. Now for the top comments. NTA, she never actually cared enough about you or your wedding until she thought it could benefit her. You're right, she is not entitled to your dress. Even if you two never had a falling out, she still isn't entitled to your dress. If budget is the problem, there are ways she can cheaply find a dress, like secondhand, which can also be altered if you don't like the puffy AITA sleeves it has or whatever. Or you can look at sales racks. Or maybe you just have a simple courthouse wedding and do a big party later when you have the cash. Whatever. It's not your problem. NTA, she can't even be considered a friend at this point, since you've been out of touch for many years. She was an elementary school acquaintance. She has a lot of nerve to think about reconnecting with you, only to borrow something that has great sentimental value to you, and that you already know you will probably never see again. Or it will come back ruined. Tell her and her boyfriend to get lost. You owe them nothing. To only call for the dress was despicable. Am I the antagonist for refusing to give my spoiled brother my dinner because he doesn't like his? I'm going to start by telling you that my 15-year-old brother is spoiled rotten and always gets his way. Tonight I was ordering dinner for myself while my parents had friends over and didn't have time to make dinner. I had decided to order a small personal-sized pizza with my money, but unfortunately, my brother noticed and wanted a pizza of his own, so my mother bought one for him and only later, once the pizzas arrive, my brother takes one bite of his, says he doesn't like it, and proceeds to take mine. I told him that I paid for that one by myself and that he has his own. He did not like that one bit and threw a total temper tantrum, going so far to the point he attacked me for it. Right after that happened, he ran to get my mother and she pissed, but not at him, at me, accusing me of being a selfish loser. I told both of them that I had paid for it myself and he had his own. My mother said she doesn't care and forcefully grabs mine. My brother ended up eating both pizzas and I ended up getting grounded for a month for being a brat. So I want to know, am I the antagonist? You had every right to inform him that he was not permitted to consume the pizza that you had paid for. I'm assuming he only wanted your pizza out of spite, since he ate both of them. I had anticipated a smaller child, or, at the very least, an older sibling than you. Comment by team member Shannon. Now for the top comments. NTA. Where is your father in all this? This is practically abuse. You need someone on your side in this. How old are you? How long until you can move out? My dad was busy with his friends. I'm 14 and planning to get a job here soon and start saving so I could rent an apartment when I turn 18 or 19. I still managed to eat leftovers, just not the food I paid for. NTA. If you bought it with your money, they stole the pizza from you. That's just a dick move, especially seeing as how he got a pizza ordered for him. You can be happy about one thing though, with the way your parents are raising him, he will be a deadbeat and probably live with them till he's 40, so be happy about that. Info. Does your brother have a cognitive or behavioral condition? This does not sound like age appropriate behavior for a 15-year-old. Am I the antagonist for only paying for son wedding? Hello everyone, I have been going through some trouble recently and one of my kids told me about this place, so in here to ask you all for help. She also mentioned I should probably tell you guys I'm on mobile. Okay, I'm a 57-year-old male who has 3 kids. 30 male, 27 female and 25 male. Me and my wife have paid for each of my 2 oldest wedding, which covered dress, suit, bridal parties. If they wanted to make a destination wedding, we covered guests who couldn't afford it in the honeymoon. Now there was not budget placed on them. My oldest wedding total was around 85k, my middle kids was around 120k. Now my youngest is getting married, him and his soon to be wife don't believe in big weddings and total is around 20k. Now my kids didn't know how much each other's wedding cost, as I didn't share, and I guess they didn't see the need to bring it up. So the problem came up this past weekend. My soon to be daughter-in-law was talking to my middle daughter and my oldest son wife about their weddings, and I guess the totals came up. Now my youngest son and his fiancée are demanding I write them a check for the difference for down payment on a condo or house. I refused and stated I was only paying for their wedding, and now they are threatening to disinvite me. So am I the asshole? So it has come up, so I'm adding this here from the comments. I paid for all my kids' college lives on top of that. They each have 3 trust funds that got released at 18, 25 and 35. He has more than enough for a down payment if he want to. If I were you, I would omit my son's wedding and down payment from my will and not pay for either. They may have politely asked and perhaps explained things more clearly in an effort to sway your opinion, but this demand is excessive because he didn't request as much money as the others. Your son is whining. Comment by team member Alex. Now for the top comments. NTA. It wasn't about the money but the moment. You paid for the wedding regardless of cost. I never tried to put a price tag on happiness, but maybe that was my mistake. NTA. I suspect that this whole thing wasn't your son's idea. Still, if they disinvite you, don't pay for any of their wedding. That sounds extreme, but you have to treat them like the little children they are. The nuclear option is a dish that is best served cold.